Your alternative talk radio contact, The Planet, KGRAradio.com.
With infinite complacence, people went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
When I was 12 years old, I saw something in the sky I couldn't explain, and I've been searching for answers ever since. And I'm inviting you on that search with me every week on the Somewhere in the Skies podcast. With special guest interviews, case history, and audio docs, we ask the tough questions when it comes to UFOs, the paranormal, and the unexplained. New episodes drop every Monday through the E1 Podcast Network. Available wherever you get your podcasts and at somewhereintheskies.com.
You send so many different types of stories, which I appreciate, of course.
I
know. No, it's great. But did you want to, start like from your first memory of when something was weird, or would you rather just kind of? And I'm totally fine if you'd rather kind of skip around, because I know sometimes other stories come to people as they're talking, or it's however you want to begin things.
Yeah, that was one of the questions that I was going to ask, because my stories do tend to jump around, because I sometimes will forget something and it'll remind me of something that, like the owl. The owls have been a weird thing. I haven't seen an owl in maybe 10 to 15 years, but earlier in my life, I would see an owl. And the first one, I'm even getting chills now because of the first time I saw an owl. It freaked me out, because the white owl for us was death. I mean, somebody in your family is going to die, or something really horrible is going to happen to you. And so the first time I saw it, it blew my mind. And then this happened throughout my life, even into the Marines. When I was in 29 Palms, California, I saw an owl, not a white owl. And then I think New Mexico or Arizona, I think it was Arizona, I saw another owl. And it wasn't a white owl, but it was, big old owl. Just, that was really weird for me. But then later on in life, when I jumped to owls being aliens and stuff like that, it kind of blew my mind. So I started delving off into that. So that's how my stories go. Like I might jump around, but I wouldn't mind trying to stick to a timeline. Like,
no, it's however, because it actually, even just the way you wrote your emails, you were skipping around, but it still made sense, because you're like, oh, well, this kind of ties into this, and because of this happened, then I thought of this. And I'm glad actually that you brought the owls up. And if you wanted to go ahead and talk more about those, that was one of the things that I definitely wanted to cover on this first round with you, because you even said, you're like, they dominated my world. And I like that you brought up the term La Lechuza. So because you said that seeing the white owls are actually, I mean, not only did you say it's pretty much an omen, but that it's rare to see a white owl. But how many times total did you see a white owl?
Three times. I was thinking about that. I know I wrote in the email, I said 3 or 4, but I focused on that because it was really important for me to get that one right, because the first time I saw one, this is an odd story. I think it was 1997. I was with a girl, and her ex-boyfriend had told somebody. We had pagers, and nobody had a cell phone back then, but I kept getting Paige kept calling the guy, and he was like, hey, with my ex, blah, blah, blah. It was stupid stuff. It was childish stuff, but he was like, I'm going to drive by the house. I'm going to shoot the house up. And so me and my buddy, we didn't really pay no mind because we weren't really like that. But later on, as the night went on, we were kind of like, well, if they shoot up this house, this is going to be bad. So we just waited up in the front, you know, to see what was going to go on. And we were just talking, and nothing happened that night as far as that was concerned. But what did scare us was we were talking, and it had to be maybe 10 o'clock at night, and you just hear this scream. It was like, it sounded like a woman screaming. And we were like, okay, man, did somebody get hurt? Because it was cold. You know how sound travels further in the cold? We were like, I wonder where that's coming from, because we couldn't pinpoint where it was. And it would keep screaming, and we were like, oh my God, somebody's getting hurt. And so we were walking around. I was talking to my girlfriend's mom, and I was like, do y'all hear that? And she was like, y'all need to get in. And I was like, we're just going to see what's going on, you know? And so we stayed outside. We didn't hear anything for a while. We started talking again. It was about midnight. And then you hear the scream again. And I was like, what is that? And then I just looked up because I was kind of confounded. I looked up, and there she was. I mean, I don't know if it was a he or she, but it was gorgeous. It was massive. I didn't know owls were that big. I'd never seen an owl outside of TV. And it was beautiful. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I didn't know about that lore. I didn't know about La Lechuza. I didn't know anything about that. But my buddy did. He goes, oh, man. He cussed. But I'm not going to say that. But he was like, we got to go. We got to go. And I was like, why? What happened? He goes, dude, that's the white owl, man. He said it in Spanish. And I was like, what is that? I don't understand. He goes, let's just go. And so we went inside. And so he told my girlfriend's mom and my girlfriend, and their eyes got big. And I was like, what? What is the deal with this thing? And so they started telling me the stories, and they started telling me everything. They said, apparently when you see one of these things, I haven't really researched it. That's a bad thing about me, is I won't really research a lot of stuff because I don't want to know, really. But from what I got from them was, if you see one of these things, it means something bad or imminent. Something's going to happen to either a loved one or a child or somebody that you love dearly. And I might be wrong. I might not be getting the story right. And the story changes over the years. You know how stories go.
Right.
But apparently this thing is bad. And so that was the first sighting. The second sighting was a little bit more hazy. It was raining. And the girl that I was with, same girl, there was a cemetery right next to where they lived. And this is when everybody was doing those charcoal. They would, I guess, put it against the headstone and then get the, I forget what it's called, the etchings of it or the outline of it. It was something that they did. They would get wax paper, put the charcoal against it, and it looked really cool. She would turn it into artwork, and it was awesome. It was amazing. And so we would go there, but we got caught in the rain. And then you hear the scream, and I was like, oh, crap. And she goes, is that what it is? Is that what it sounds like? Because she knew, because my eyes got big. And we were hiding in one of those, I guess a mausoleum or whatever, a tomb. One of them was open where you can go in and you can observe and stuff like that. So we were hiding in there until the rain stopped. And I was like, yeah, that's it. And she's like, oh, that's not cool. We're in the cemetery. I was like, I know. And we were far from her house. We were like, that cemetery was huge. And we were like 4 or 5 hills over. We were way away, and we weren't about to run in the rain. You look up, and it's dark, but you see it flying under the light. And I was like, that's it. I said, let's go. So we took off in the rain, and we didn't look back. We just went through the little fence that was open, and then we went to the house. And we didn't say nothing about it. I think she told her mom, but I was like, I wasn't going to talk about it because it was like kind of weird for me. Because that was the second time I've seen it, and I've already gotten the lore of it. And it was kind of, the first time it was neat, it was beautiful, I admired it. The second time was, why am I seeing this thing? Nothing happened. Nobody, from that, I think it was like 4 or 5 months from the first time I saw it, nothing had happened. And for those first 3 or 4 weeks that I saw it, I was on pins and needles because I was like, somebody I love is going to either get hurt or die. So it was freaking me out. Now, this is the second time I saw it, and I'm wondering why. Why am I seeing this? What does this mean? And this is before the internet, really. I mean, we had, Roadrunner DSL? I don't even know at that time if they had it, but I didn't look on the internet and stuff like that. I didn't even mess with the internet. I didn't have time for the internet. I was always out and about. And there was nothing in the libraries. I did try the libraries, but it was just old witches' tales and stuff like that. Nothing close to what there is available now. But that was the second time. And the third time, I think it was with my buddies and my brother. And we were in my car. It was my first car. It was a Ford LTD. It was like an 88, 82 or something like that. That car comes up later. I think I wrote a story. So I said something about the night that my friends say I scammed the devil. Well, this was the car that happened in. It was just a lot of funny stuff happened in that car. We were driving at night, had to be 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And we were too broke to either buy, we used to smoke weed back then. We were too broke to buy weed, too broke to buy beer, which was, I know we were young at the time, but we had stores that we could go to go buy that stuff. We were just bored. Bored. So we were driving around and we stopped at a park that we knew cops were going to bother us at. And then sure enough, there she goes. We didn't even say anything. I think I was just quiet because I'm not going to say I was the leader, but out of all of us, I was the one that either fought the most or had a name for fighting. And it was my car. So as soon as I saw it, I just turned around, got in my car, started it up, and everybody got in. Nobody said anything. And that was the last time. I don't even remember how far away that was, but had to be maybe about a year after I had seen that the last one in the cemetery. And it was the last white one I've ever seen. Other than that, as far as owls go, I've seen a big brown one in my neighborhood where I used to live, but it was an awesome, beautiful, big owl. I love owls. Owls are weird, beautiful creatures. It wasn't all that, but in 29 Palms, the last time I saw a really, really, it was the one that meant the most to me because it was kind of a cute little thing. It was before I went to Japan, so it had to be 99. And it was Thanksgiving break. Everybody was leaving. And I don't know if you know 29 Palms, but it doesn't really snow in 29 Palms. It's like the desert. But this night it was snowing. And I took one of my buddies' fire watch, which means I got to stand all night guard for maybe about 4 or 5 hours, and then I go in. But I took his watch. That way he can go early to go see his family. He was taking off somewhere. So I was like, yeah, that's cool. I'm going to do a smoke and stand around. I don't care. So I had walked back to my room because I was on kind of a break. And I lit a cigarette and I leaned against my door and I was listening to music and it started snowing and the wind started coming and it was awesome because, we've been running in this desert and it's been hot. And at night it gets cool. You know that in Nevada it does that, right? It's
does.
Hot during the day, but then it gets real cold at night.
Believe it. Yeah, it actually gets below freezing sometimes, and people are like, "What? It's the desert." Like, yeah, it gets cold.
I know. That's kind of why I liked the way Arizona was. I think it was Yuma we were in, but also in Nevada. I know there's not a lot to look at, but I still thought it was beautiful driving through the mountains and stuff.
Heck yeah, the desert can be just as creepy as the woods.
Oh, the mountains, that when y'all have those storms coming through the mountains, it's gorgeous. I'm in awe of what y'all have out there. And I love Texas, but there's nothing like what we have over here compared to what you guys have over there. I love the West Coast. Getting back to the little owl, and it was a little thing. Take your hand and maybe the palm of your hand. And that's how little this thing was.
Aww.
And so I was smoking. I know, right? I was smoking, leaning against the door, and snow's coming. Everybody's like, hey, it's snowing. I was like, yeah, it's awesome. And so then I look, and this owl just pops out of a hole. and it looks at me, and it's jumping back and forth, and it keeps jumping around in a circle. It jumps forward, backward, and then it just pops right back in its hole. And I was like, what was that? It was like, what? I was like, dude, there was like a little owl here. And so we went looking, and we couldn't really find the hole. Now, I'm not saying the hole disappeared. I'm just saying maybe by all of us moving over and kicking the sand and stuff like that, maybe we covered the hole. And I told everybody, like, all right, everybody stop. I said, we might have covered the hole. I want to suffocate this little guy. And so we all stopped, and we were just talking about it for a little bit, but it wasn't that big of a deal. But for me, it was. Like, it was, I don't know, I was missing my family. I was missing who, the girl I was with at the time. And it was kind of like something that it tugged at me, and it was something I needed at that moment. Kind of like, hey, hold on, your time's coming. Just relax, And so I did, and it was that little joy that helped me. So it was kind of a good thing.
I mean, the owls for you though, Kevin, because part of the emails were that, witchcraft does run in your family. So,
oh, cool. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So for you though, the owls, is it more tied into witchcraft and the La Chusa side, or for you, does it tie in more to what people would tie in, like what Mike Cleellen calls about the, the alien connection with owls?
It does, but that stuff does not come out till later, until I'm older. Now, I started noticing things when I came back from the Corps. I guess due to the Marine Corps, they're not shy about telling you what they do. It was hard to get rid of a lot of anger. It was hard to get rid of a lot of depression, and drugs weren't working. So what I did was I started basically a 4 or 5 year long trek into healing myself without drugs, because drugs, they just nullified the issue. When you get off the drugs, it's worse. And so I had to figure out a way how to do this. So what I found out that the Marines like to do in the 60s and the 70s, they ramped up their whole way of making a Marine. They got really big into computers. Computers got big in the 60s and the 50s. But they took this idea of wiping a recruit's mind of what they don't want us to have, which is caring or compassion or, and it sucks to say it, but that's exactly what you need in somebody that's going to follow orders and kill without question. And I hate saying that, but that's what they do. And that's fine. That's what I signed up for. I had to deprogram all of that. And so what I'm thinking happened is, when they did that, they took all that away. I came back a completely different person. Everybody said, you were not the sweet guy you used to be. You're not that guy that, you were just never like this, and it sucked. And it's been a long, long, long road back. But that put me in a huge state of depression and anger. And I drank a lot. I did drugs. I did them. I did a lot. And it put me in these states. In these states, I think I brought stuff out that I had no idea was in me. This has to be 2003, 2004. And this is when I started noticing things like I could just feel people. I could read people. If somebody was lying to me, I kind of figured it out. But when I honed in on it, I knew they were lying. Or I could tell this guy is not good for this person. Or this guy, I wouldn't trust my kids around them. And sure enough, later on down the line, I would get a call or somebody would tell me, oh, I was having a dream. And in the dream, one of my friends was pregnant. She didn't know what to do because she was pregnant from somebody else's child. She was married. Okay. So I woke up, I was sweating, and I was like, oh. And I told the girl I was with, I was like, hey, call so-and-so. And she goes, why? I said, just call her. And she's like, I'm not going to call her. It's 4:00 in the morning. Her phone rings. And it was her. Mm. And so I just got up and I was doing what I'm doing right now. I'm wringing my hands and I have my hands on my mouth. And I'm like, what you saying? What you saying? And her eyes just got big, and she goes, Kevin just had a dream about you. And I just walked out because it was scaring me what was happening. To make matters worse, okay, my mom became a Jehovah's Witness when I was 8, 9. I found out later that this same current power, whatever this is, runs through her, runs through my grandmother, or my late grandmother and my late great-grandmother. I had found out after talking to my mom, because I went to her and I said, can we take a walk outside? And so we walked outside, and I was like, hey, I was like, did you or have you? And she goes, yes. She just shakes her head, yes. She's a Jehovah's Witness. She will never, ever admit this in a court of law. She will never, ever say this in front of anybody. But to me, she knew I needed to know that this power runs through us. And she just shook her head, yes.
So you didn't even have to speak the words. She already knew what you were going to ask.
Nope.
And you had never attempted to ask her anything about that before. Wow.
No, because before the incident that I'm probably going to talk about later, with the alien thing where the aliens were coming at me, I never really cared about this stuff. I never really cared. It was something that happened, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But I was never like, oh, okay, let me delve into this. And I have the time now to do this because I was always partying, I was always drinking, I was going out to bars, I was doing everything else but researching paranormal stuff. That was for coast to coast people. It wasn't for me. I was too cool for that stuff.
Yeah, that was for the nerds. True nerds. I understand. Don't you worry.
I raised that flag high now. So, but what do you call it? Yeah. What was I talking about? Her knowing without me having to ask, and she had done this ever since then. About the demonic aliens things. I came to her one time and asked a question. I was like, hey, so you were right. And she goes, I know about yes. We just had this thing, to where, she even knew. This is what freaked me out about her, was when I was in San Diego and I was having issues, or I was drunk and I was depressed, I was by myself because I got mad and kicked everybody out or something. She would call. It would be like 3 o'clock in the morning. In California, so it's like 5 over there, over here in Houston. She knew at different times, and I wouldn't even say anything, and I would just be like, how do you know, Mom? And she would just be like, I know my baby. And so that's all I took it for, was Mom's intuition.
Right.
But my great-grandma, she had, at the time, the most power. Like, if anybody had a new car, like, my dad had a 72 Cadillac, like a Coupe de Ville. It was gorgeous, black. I still miss that car, but when it was brand new, he brought it over to show everybody in the family and everything like that. But she was already older, and she was one of those cackling grandmothers. And so my dad was trying to show it off to everybody. And so, he goes to open the door, and it won't open. And he was like, and so he puts the key in, and it's unlocked, but it's unopened. And so he goes to the other side, and it won't open. And he was like, Dad, he's like getting mad, he's cussing. He's like, man, I just bought this thing, this and that. And so then everybody is trying to figure out how to open the car. And then my great grandma, she's just laughing and cackling. She's on a rocking chair, and she's just going back and forth. And they tell her, get down here, because if she doesn't get down and touch the car will not work. No matter what you do, if she does not go down and touch that car, the car will not work. And that's when I learned about ojo, the eye. And that's, I think, something that is more relevant to me than actual witchcraft, because I won't practice witchcraft. I won't do anything close to that. I know it's there. I know it's a power, but I've just seen witches. I've dealt with witches. You can tell the drain on them. You can tell their lack of youth because of what they do and use to either hex people or to gain riches from it. You see them. They're just... Can you
tell the difference between a good witch and a bad witch?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You just said the word shriveled. Like, it's someone that's practicing the dark side of witchcraft. Would they look more shriveled to you?
The dark ones, they focus more on hexes and anytime you attempt to take somebody's life or to injure somebody, that's from what I've learned it's more damaging to you, because I've done this by accident, because that's why I said Oho is more in tune with me than actual witchcraft, because somebody will piss somebody that I love off or do something to them that's so horrible. You can't really do anything about it. You gotta let the law take care of it. But I'm just so mad, so angry, just so. I get the that furrowed brow, and I just walk out, and I'm storming. And this was before I had control of my emotions. And sure enough, 2 or 3 days later, it just started becoming a pattern. If I was mad at somebody, something bad would happen to me. But in turn, something bad would happen to me. Like either I would get in a wreck, or I would injure myself pretty severely, which I have over the years. And sometimes I got to think, okay, where was the link? Who did I get mad at, or who did I get pissed at? Or this is where I really had to start controlling my emotions, because it would just come off as evil. Like, just I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just sending this stuff subconsciously to them without knowing it, and then it's going to come back on me or somebody that I love.
If you were mad at somebody, Kevin, I mean, with that, like you said, it wasn't intentional, but if you were really super pissed at somebody, was there occasions when that person then did, in fact, get into an accident or injure themselves?
I had a guy, I had gotten offered a position to run a company, like South Texas. There was another guy that didn't really like me, I guess because I didn't have a college education. I don't know. I don't even care. I'm not going to say that because I don't know what he was thinking. He just did not like me. Every time we would go to manager meetings, he was always against me. The older guys liked me because I was a Marine, and, I just got along with everybody, but this guy just did not like me. So, he kept making it harder and harder and harder on me to move forward. In what I was doing. I was trying to set up a satellite office for this one company to take care of all of South Texas. And it was stressful. I was barely sleeping. I had to go to 4 or 5 different major cities in one van, and sometimes 3 or 4 deliveries a night. One in Brownsville, one in Kingsville, one in Corpus Christi. I was all over the place. So I was stressed. And so me and him had gotten into an argument, and he said I was very disrespectful to him, and he said, he said I was threatening to him, and I wasn't. And I was like, I couldn't believe everything was going on the way it was. This is when I was younger, and I had no idea how people were really, they were just so mean. And this is the point where you have to be careful, because that guy, it should have been him, in other words, is what I'm saying. But it wasn't him. It was another guy that came down. And I thought he would have my back, but he completely didn't. And I love this guy. And I think maybe that had something more to do with it. I think maybe that was, like the other guy, that guy was a dick.
You expected it from him. No, you're totally fine. Yeah, you expected it from him, but not the other guy. So that was more hurtful to you.
Yes, because he's the one that suggested me go down it, because he believed in me. But when he completely just let me take the fall for nothing, really, it hurt. And I was like, fine, all right. I said, I'm gone. But it was in my head. That's this guy. Oh, son of this guy. I can't believe the other guy I forgot about. I don't even remember his name. But Chris, I remember, because when I talked to somebody that worked there, I had lost contact with a lot of people. I even tried to contact him, see how everybody was doing. But after about a month after I had left, he developed pancreatic cancer, or they found it. And within 4 to 5 months after that, he just withered away and died. And I was like, now that could be complete coincidence. I'm gonna tell one more. I don't want to tell too many more because I don't
Sure
like
you
this
do.
stuff,
Why not?
because it bothers me. No, no, 'cause this one's bad. I don't like this one.
Oh.
I don't like this one.
You don't have to tell it.
This one's bad. I'm not a good guy. I'm not a really good guy.
You know, you don't have to tell it.
This
I'm just saying.
I know. This one I didn't mean at all. This one was where I had to really check everything out. My son, he's 13, 14. He's 13, I think. I don't celebrate birthdays like everybody else. He's June, so I'm not going to say the whole thing, but okay. I celebrate his birthday. I just, because of the whole Jehovah's Witness thing, I don't really. When he was little, he was about 6 or 7. My baby, they had it on camera. They called us in and they said, we're going to show you something disturbing and we need you to stay calm. And it was me and my girlfriend at the time. And I was calm, but they showed where all these little boys at the behest of some girl was making them all hold my son down, and they were just kicking him in the stomach. I love my baby. I love him. And so I was getting mad, and I said, who's that girl? And they were like, well, sir, this and that. And I found out later who it was. It was a friend of my son's grandmother's friend or something like that. It was that girl. I didn't say anything, Shannon. I didn't get mad, but it was just the fact of seeing my baby getting kicked over and over again. It hurt. It freaked me out. You know, nothing bad really happened. But later on, I think a day or two later, that little girl broke her arm. And this is not the only instance. There's been a ton of things like this. And so
we'll give at least one more example. So then it kind of narrows down, you know, maybe people's thinking that it's coincidental, you know, which it could be, like you said.
I hope it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. What's a good, safe one? Well, let me talk about this one time where I knew I had something. When I really knew, I was with like I said, I'm not a good guy. I was involved in a relationship that, you know, she had told me that she was leaving her husband. She wasn't. It was all a lie. So there was a whole bunch of confrontation. But during this time, I had no idea. I thought she was separated, not legally separated, you know, not legally divorced. And so everything was okay at this time. What do you call it? Oh, this was the time I told you that I had like a type of a war with another witch. And
yes, I do remember that from the email. I was hoping we'd get there, but you know, I didn't want to twist your arm for the first round.
It's not as fancy. It's hard to explain unless you know what's going on. But I knew she was a witch the moment she sat down next to, you know, my companion. Her companion, gorgeous. She draws attention, and when me and her were together, we would both draw attention. We were the kind of couple we were friends with bartender, we were friends with everybody. I was talking to the couple next to me, and she was talking to, you know, the newly arrived witch that I knew right away as soon as she sat down was a witch because she had that appearance that drained. And then she had like basically somebody that was with her who never spoke, was kind of like a lackey, ended up being her husband. But these powerful witches, they have people like that they can just control. And so she was talking to him, and I was talking to the girls on my side, and they were a young couple, and you know, I was really buzzed, and I was playing music for them on the jukebox, and everybody was having a good time. And my friend goes to the restroom with the woman, the witch. And she comes back before the other one does, the witch does. And I said, she's a witch. She goes, what? No. And I was like, yeah. And the girl that I was with, she kind of knew, you know, the things I could do, what I had, or you know, kind of like the powers I've been messed with. And she's like, no, you're wrong. She's nice. And I was like, no, dude. I was like, no. I said, she's going to continuously try to get you to go back home with her. I said, even though I'm here, I said, she's going to try to get you to go home. She goes, no. She goes, look at her. And she was walking, she looked like it's somebody's mother, like somebody's grandmother. She was like, look at her. And I was like, I know what you're saying. I said, look, let's just forget about it. Don't worry about it. I hope I'm wrong. And I hoped I was wrong. But the night got longer, and she kept, trying to get us to take shots. And I was staying sober just because I knew if I lost it, I could lose control. And so finally, they go to the restroom again, and I guess the girls leave. It was getting real late. I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And when she comes back quickly, and her eyes are wide, and she goes, she just tried to get me to go home with her. And I was like, what did she say? She goes, I have puppets. She goes, you would make a nice little puppet.
Oh.
And she was showing me in her hand. I know, weird, right?
Time to run very fast.
No, I got mad. Because here was this girl. I was buzzed, but I got mad. And so one thing I didn't know was true, but what I would always say was I have entities with me, because I kind of felt like that's what was helping me with certain things, or I would know certain things. And I didn't really know at the time, but I would always tell people that I thought had a power, or that, I was trying to wow with my power, that I have multiple entities with me. I was like, I got one, an old man. He doesn't like people. So if you see me get mad, it's probably him. But I would just say this. And so, but for this night, for this witch, I wanted this to be real. And I don't know if I brought this into fruition or if through intention I created this. But I mean, I was giving her daggers, and she was touching my friend's hand, and she was saying like, oh, look at you, you're going to live a long life, this and that. And so I was like, touch my hand. And she was ignoring me. And I was like, touch my hand. And she just did not want to have anything to do with me. And my friend was getting upset because she knew I was getting mad, and she was freaking out because everything I said about this woman was real. And basically everything that I told my friend came true, or came to be. She was going to try to take her home and wanted her to be one of her little dolls. That she has plenty of dolls, and she plays with them all night, and her and her husband love dolls and this and that. It was just gross.
God.
And so, right?
God.
And so I grabbed her hand, and as soon as I did, her eyes went wide, and I pointed to the mirror that was across. I said, look into the mirror. I said, look for him. And she starts crying. Okay. This freaked me out because she started crying. I saw her in the mirror start crying, and her eyes went big. And then I looked at her, and I still had her hand, and I was not going to let go. I wasn't like me, like, come here. But this was a weird moment. Like, it was almost like I was connected to her. And then something just came over me, and I was like, you see him, right? I said, you see him? I said, how come you did not see me? You didn't see me when you walked. I said, but when you walked in, I saw you from the moment you stepped foot into this establishment. I said, do you see me? And she just starts crying, and she's weeping. And it's at first, when she tried to pull her hand away, and I was like, do you see me? And she was like, yes, yes, yes. And she starts crying. She starts singing her little chants in Spanish and this and that. And I was like, leave us alone. And I let her hand go, and she walked away. Her and her husband got out of there. Well, they didn't pay the tab. And so the bartender was like, hey, they didn't pay the tab. And so I put 100. I was like, that'll cover their tab and this and that. And so we walked out, and I was shaking. I was like full of energy. I was like, what was that? In my mind, I said, what was that? But at the same time, my girl said, what was that? I was like, I don't know. I said, that was weird. I said, that wasn't me. I said, let's go home. I said, because I was scared. It was one of the first times I had realized that I could do something like that and control it and scare somebody that I knew to be a witch. All my life, witches scared the crap out of me. They still kind of do. I think
yeah, I was going to say,
Dogman,
as
number
well
one,
they should.
and then witches.
Dogman, yeah, exactly.
Like,
It's a big,
Dogman's number one.
massive effing bag of nope.
Yeah.
The old man entity, and I would like you to expand upon, of course, the others, but you told her to look into the mirror, and you said, do you see him? And that's because he's the one, he's like a protector, and, you know, like he'll maybe scare people off, like you said, if you get really pissed. So she saw him, is what you're saying. You told her to look in the mirror because you knew she would see him?
Yeah, but like, in other words, it sounds scripted, but it's exactly what I said. And back then, I wasn't that quick. I wasn't that smart. I wasn't movie line ready. It was just something that came out of me that I had no idea was going to come out of me. Who said that? Look into the mirror.
you said movie line ready. Me. That is funny, yeah. But you did. But I mean, it's like you just knew that that's what you needed to say to really F with her enough to get her to go, and it got your point across, right? So.
Yeah, but I think later on, because she kept on figuring out ways to, like after that, we forgot about her. Then I started noticing like wasps. And wasps I don't care about them. They don't bother me. I love bees. I think everybody gives wasps a hard time. You know, I don't kill them on sight. When I was a kid and my mom was a Jehovah's Witness, I was like, okay, so God was the one that did the flood and he killed all the firstborn. What did the devil do? Oh, he gave Eve an apple. And I was like, and he's like cast out of heaven for that? I couldn't get my head around it.
Right.
God's over here slaying people by the millions. So that's just me in a nutshell. But see, and you know how wasps can pick up on your, adrenaline or something?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when they attack. And so I learned a long time ago, stop getting stung by bees and wasps. Just don't be afraid around them. And I had buddies that would put bees on their hands. And so I started doing that too. And I was an adventurous kid. So anyways, got that out of the way. Then these wasps just started showing up. First black ones, and then red ones. And my butterflies weren't showing up. Like I said, I like small things. Every time I see a butterfly, I'm like, hey, gorgeous, or hey, beautiful, or hey, how you doing? Or, hey, buddy. You know, I say hello to the butterflies because I love butterflies, fucking gorgeous. And we can't let them die. Same thing with bees. But no butterflies, wasps. No bees, because I love bees. Black wasps. Then red wasps. And then bigger wasps. Like wasps, I keep saying that word, but I've never seen certain kinds before. I started having to look them up. Different colors. And in Houston, we're home to all kinds of insects. But there was just stuff that I couldn't find. But by this time, it was 2004, in 2005, 2006, 2007. Yeah, internet was up and going. Everybody could look up stuff on their phones. So, I mean, I couldn't find anything. And then finally, I think she told me, hey, you remember that witch? And I was like, I said, you know, she would pop into my head every time I would see the wasp. I was like, why though? There was no way this lady, if she is a witch then, she is a witch then. Because why would she pop into her head? And then why would she start talking about her again? I thought, that's weird. I didn't want to freak her out. I was like, yeah, that was a crazy night, huh? Woo, let's not talk about that. So I would ignore it. I would push it away. And she calls me one day, and I'm working. I used to work at night. And she goes, hey, that chick is here. And I said, where are you? She used to live far away from where we were at that bar. And I was like, I'm over here in so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, she's there? And she was like, yeah. I said, dude, I think she's following me. And I said, where you at? I'm heading over there. And because I was at a hospital. I used to deliver hospital beds. And she's like, no. I'm going to talk to her because she was crazy, the chick that I was with. And she was like, I'm going to talk to her. I'm going to say, what's up? And so she goes over there. She goes, hey, how you doing? Hey, are you following me? Like, she goes, no. She goes, didn't I see you? You can hear the whole conversation going back and forth. And she goes, mm-hmm. Well, I hope you're not following me. Like, she tells me that. And then she just walked away. She goes, that is following me. And I'm like, just go. I said, just make sure she doesn't follow you. I said, I don't really want to deal with this. So, because I hadn't had any issues or problems like that, except for the damn wasps. And it just kept getting worse. And it was getting to the point where they were landing on me. And I would tell them, I was like, okay, I said, you can land on me, but don't get close to my head. And then one day just started stinging me, and it just over and over. And I was like, oh, man, I don't like killing them. But I had to kill them. And it got to a point where I was getting stung by wasps left and right. And I was like, son of a bitch. And so I started focusing. I started focusing on the white light. Just, I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to go to war. I didn't even know what this was. But I started. I didn't know what else to do. I think I was listening to a lot of. This was at the time where everybody was talking about being a light bringer or
right.
A worker for the light and stuff like that. It was that time. And so I'm like, you know what? And love is a big deal to me. I know I say love a lot, but one of the only things that I've seen heal people or stop people from going crazy or stop my son from being completely mental is the word love, and not just using it, but conveying it. I have stopped so many fights, arguments, just emoting that, just pushing that, kind of like letting love flow through you into that person. So that's what I started doing. And so what did I do? She's sending me wasps. I'm sending her butterflies. And so that's all I would do all day is just send butterflies her way to let her know, you know what? I see you, buddy, but I'm gonna keep on this side, I'm gonna keep it straight over here. I'm not gonna go into your war. Until how did we find out? I had talked to that girl on and off, and it just didn't work. And she had ended up talking to somebody that either knew her or somebody either knew her or knew her husband. But she ended up having a heart attack. And I don't think that was me, but that's when a lot of that stuff started and stopped. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else in the middle, because I tend to tell my stories cut off.
No, it's okay. My whole show is based on tangents and timelines that are kind of skewed, but sometimes it works better that way. And see, the fact that she died, I was going to say something funny like, oh, you really want to F with her, send her camel spiders. But, she passed away, so it's not really funny, If anyone wanted to screw with me, that's what you send.
Did you say camel spiders?
Yeah, they're from hell, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those are big. We saw them in Iraq. Yeah, they're not.
Oh,
nice.
you saw like the legit ones, like the big ones.
Yeah.
I read a story. I read a story of and big strapping guys, and the Army and the Marine Corps and all this other stuff, and they're all. It's a picture of them, and they're in a tent, and they're all up on top of their their cots, their bunks. Like a girl might do, if she's afraid of a mouse or something, a bunch of girls like at a sleepover. And that's because one of those effing camel spiders got into the tent and they couldn't find it, but they knew that it was there. Those things are so wrong. So wrong. And
yeah, we're tough. No, we're tough outside of the tent.
Usually,
but in the tent,
Hey,
we're allowed to be a little bit.
Once those sufflegays get in there, I think that's how you say it. Sufflegay gets in there. It's just it's Satan on earth. That's all it is. So it never crossed your mind though to live in the dark where she was kind of living. Like if she was the one sending you the wasps, you weren't like, okay, well screw you. I'll send you a flying camel spider or something. Like you didn't want to one up her. You always would just instantly you're like, I have to stay on the right side of this.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean like I always wanted to stay in the light side, because there was times where I was doing a lot of drugs that I delved into the dark for a little bit just to get things I wanted, either more money or women or just fun times, and it was just really to experiment, to play. But that's where I learned that you take 2 scoops of something else, and it takes a lot from me, because I'm the type of person that I'm really emotional, and I really care. I care about people. I still care about that guy, that one that had pancreatic cancer. It still bothers me. It bothers me, just some of the people that I've accidentally upset when I was a kid. Like 17, 18.
Mm-hmm.
people like it, all those stick with me. And so I learned that, to play in the dark. And playing in the dark was more like sigil magic, blood magic, like using my own blood. You just cut yourself in the hand or somewhere where you're bleeding, and just pour it on the sigil, burn it, and there's all kinds of ways. And I played with that for a little bit.
So sigils work.
And, yeah. If we do it right. Because some don't. I think I've gotten most of my better jobs with correct ways of using or utilizing magic. Not, in other words, I don't use magic for a penthouse or a Lamborghini. I use the magic for the opportunity to show somebody the skills that I have. In other words, it takes work. You can't just go into a job and, maybe the magic does work, but they get you that job, you get the high rise, that guy gets fired that hired you, another guy comes in and is like, what are you doing here? You suck, right. And kicks you out. Right. That's how magic works. You have to prepare for the long haul. And I found that utilizing magic at certain times and not doing it to where you're going to screw somebody over. Maybe that does work. It doesn't work for me. I don't like that dark side of the magic. It's just, I have sigils now that I can tell, like, I did 3 or 4 of them 2 months ago. I did one where, I had been taking a break because I'd been with somebody since I was 17 until 5 years ago. Not the same person, but off and on, 7 years. And then I would be with somebody else for 10 years. I'd be with somebody else. And I wasn't ever really happy. And when my dad passed away about 2 years ago, he always told me, hit the girl later, work on your life now. And I never got that. But when he passed away, I was like, I got to focus. And so that's what I've been doing. It's been like a 2-year journey, utilizing a little bit of magic to like get into a place to where I'm well known in a certain circle. I got hired as a driver for one company, and through sigil magic, I got hired on because they saw how hard I worked. And within 2 months, I got moved to warehouse manager. After about 7 months of that, I moved into the inside sales department. And from inside sales, somebody I knew that had moved to another job offered me a position, getting paid a whole lot more. And so throughout that time, I was utilizing certain sigils, different things that were working, different things that weren't working. Some magic does not work, and it's just stupid. It is stuff, I don't want to talk about it, but it is, some stuff just does not work, and some stuff does. And it might be me and my intent and my belief in it, but it does work. And I think bad magic works too, because this is the scary part. I think before sigils, the whole woman that I was with, how she said she was separated, but she wasn't. I'm scared that through maybe my intent and my wanting of something, that I created that whole situation. Because if you go to the timeline of where she started having problems, it was where I started wanting someone or needing someone, especially her, because she was a friend from high school. And then I wanted her, and I would focus on that. I had no idea what she's been doing, called me up out of the blue, or no, we meet with a whole bunch of friends, and that's where everything starts. But the timeline for when she started having issues kind of linked up to where I started wanting that. And that has happened throughout my life. And I wonder, not just her, but other people, did I cause this to start because I wanted something so bad? It scares me sometimes that's the regret that I have. It's like, that's the pain that I feel. And did I screw up somebody's life?
So before we close up for this first round, if you don't mind just touching on this, as far as the entities go, so you brought up the old man. And
that one, yeah.
Yeah. So just in general, though, were they always there with you, these entities, or because you started to figure things out as far as what you could do, and then you maybe dabbled in some magic, light or dark, that brought them to you and then attached them to you, or were they always there?
Okay, real quick. I think what happened was when I was a kid, I was bad. And that house that I grew up in is haunted. It's extremely haunted. That's one of the houses where I saw a little boy and a taller shadow. And maybe next time we can talk about that. But see, I was a bad kid. I was 5 or 6. Hispanics, they will throw you in a closet outside with rats and roaches and spiders and leave you in there and lock you in there for hours because the parents are out partying or something. So that's what they did to me. I'm scared, but to defeat fear, I would just start heaving and getting mad and just start. I wanted to be scarier than anything in that little dark closet. And so I think this is where I started pulling these things into me, because throughout my whole life, I used kind of this dark energy. If I would get into a fight where I knew I was going to lose, I would turn into like a rage and I would just start fighting and I would beat people up that was 3 or 4 times. Not all the time. I got beat up a lot, but there were some times I pulled a fight out of nowhere that everybody was like, whoa, where did that come from? And I would just run away and be like, I don't know. But that entity, the old man, I would be sleeping at somebody's house. I would run away a lot, 16, 17. And somebody would wake me up. And it was Big Sarah one time, long time ago, long gone. But she goes, hey, Kevin, she goes, you can't sleep here anymore. And I said, why? She goes, every time you sleep here, I keep seeing this old man. And that's the first time I heard old man. And I was like, I said, are you messing with me? She goes, no, dude. It was like an old man in, what do you call it, the suspenders and a muscle shirt. And I was like, no. I said, are you kidding? Because they were older, like they were 24, 25, and they were always messing with me. And so she goes, no, Kevin. She goes, I love you, but you can't sleep here no more. And I was like, all right. That's the first time I heard it. And I think that kind of stuck with me. I saw a witch in Louisiana one time, I think when I was 21 or 22. And I really didn't want to go in there. I don't like that stuff. I don't like fortune telling, fortune reading, stuff like that. It just scares crap out of me. And so, but when I finally did it, she was telling me, you have something with you. And I said, an old man? And she kind of dipped her head and she didn't say anything because I think she knew I didn't want because my girlfriend and her mom were there. I think she knew I didn't want them to really know because it would have freaked them out, you know. They know I've had problems because she's, the girlfriend at the time, she'd done the cleansing ritual with the egg and the broom where they sweep the bad energy away from you. She tried that on me because she knew something wasn't right, you know. But that old man comes into play later on, like when somebody tells me a house is haunted, and I would tell them not while I'm here. And sure enough, they would tell me later on that ever since you've been here, like we haven't had any problems. And I said, there'll be a time where I'm not here, but you'll hear snoring. I said, that's my guy. You know, I said, that's him. I said, I don't know who he is. I tried to contact him. I've tried to banish him. I think I have. When I started becoming more and more in control of me and my psyche and my health, my mental health, I didn't need things like that anymore. I don't fight anymore. I don't have to.
So you're saying he's gone now, or you just banished him for a short time and he came back?
I think he's gone, and I think he's like always there because I'm scared the way the world's going right now that I'm going to need the old man.
He may come back, yeah. He actually may. You may not have a choice.
Because what I've told everybody, everybody was like, oh, you think zombies are going to attack, or you think this is the end of the world? And I tell everybody, I was like, if it is, I said, you do not want to know me because I will utilize everything that I know.
I call forth everything. What other entities are attached to you?
I think I used to always see a black, like, I don't know if it was a black, it was just a dark winged entity that I would always, if I felt something was coming to me, the old man, I figured, like, was not going to be able to help me. And so I would envision this dark entity, like this, not red eyes, just no eyes, just completely black around me. And I remember one time I was with somebody and I was just hunched over and I wasn't looking at anything. I wasn't saying anything. I wasn't even watching TV. And she just tapped me and said, are you okay? And I said, why? She goes, you look like a gargoyle. I was like, what? She goes, not look, but the way you're hunched. And I looked and I was hunched over a seat. And I was like, oh, I'll just stretching my legs, you know. But I
do this all the time, totally normal.
Good thing it was early in the relationship, and I never did that again. But it was
Yeah, until she sees the old man, that'll be the clencher right there, you know.
No, she did. She would.
Oh my!
Almost
goodness.
everybody that I was with would see the old man. Oh,
no
but
kidding.
then not just me. When I was with my son's mom, she brought stuff. She brought a little entity, a little shadow person, and that thing scared the crap out of me.
A little what?
I was used a little entity, like a little boy entity,
like a
shadow person.
Oh, a little shadow person.
Those are creepy. I have one. I forgot to talk about this one. The hooded one. The hooded one I'm okay with because when I was living by myself in an apartment, I would wake up and then he was there and I would freak out. And I was like, oh, you scared the crap out of me. But I would get up and go use the restroom. Every once in a while, he would be right there. Oh, have you seen Ghost of Mount Carmel? He's got a YouTube show. Oh, he does investigations in his own house. It's like Ghost of Mount Carmel. He has the best shadow entity. The shadow entities that he has on his channel are dead on entities. It's a weird type of black you can't see, but it also has a shape and it's hard to describe. When I saw his show or his channel, it freaked me out because that's what I used to see. I don't see him anymore.
Now, why were you always okay with the hooded entity? Because it just didn't give off
because he
something.
was just because by this time I was more afraid of what I would do to people or other things because this is the time I was on cocaine. Sorry. I was drinking a lot. I was drinking cases a day, like 24 packs of beer. Nothing was killing me because I would go run it off. I was running 13, 14 miles. I was running it off. And so I was drinking. Everybody I knew wanted to party with me and I would go and party. And so this was the least important thing in my life. And when the first time I saw him, yeah, he scared the crap out of me because I would wake up on the floor and I was like, I thought it was my buddy Eddie because I would often leave my door open. Anybody could come in. I was not afraid of anything. And the first time I saw this guy, it was like a hooded guy, almost one time he looked like a typical ghost with a blanket on his head. That's how weird this dude looked. And it would freak me out. But after a couple of times of seeing him, I would just get mad that he was in my way, and I would punch through him, and I'd be like, get out of my way.
You know what it reminds me of? It's Bill Murray in Scrooged when he gets in the elevator, and he's just like, and the guy is like puffing up on it. He's like, back up, pal. What do you think this is? You Hawaiian? That's exactly what it reminds me of.
Because he would be in my way, and I'd go to the restroom. I would punch through him. But when I started seeing my son's mom, I would see the little one, and that was the one where I would be walking, I'd see shadow guy, and then I would see the little one, and I would stop, and I was like, whoa, what's that? And then they would disappear, and I would shake. I was like, go. All right. I said, maybe that was nothing. Maybe it was a shadow behind the shadow guy. And I would talk to the shadow. I wouldn't call him shadow guy. I'm calling him that because that's what that guy calls him on the show. But I would tell him, hey, it better just be you. I said, only you can be in here, okay? Because I didn't care. He wasn't doing anything. He was just there. So
you only really saw this little shadow thing out of your periphery. Like you turned to look and he's gone, but you knew you saw something?
No, they were there. No, because you know how you wake up and you're still foggy, you're still in that mixed realm?
Mm-hmm.
Because I wake up, because of the Marine Corps, I wake up, I jump up, and I go to the restroom or do whatever I have to do. I can wake up at 6:59, get up, and I'll be in the restroom by 6:59 and 30 seconds because it's just, we were taught to do that. And so, but a lot of the times you're still in that realm. But I would see him, the shadow guy, I'd freak out, go through him. But this time, when I saw him, I got up, the little guy was right there to the side of him. And it was a boy's head with the ears and the hair. You just can't see any features. And I'm like, what the crap? I don't know why that's the creepiest thing. Maybe a little girl is creepier. I don't know. I've just never seen a little girl. But the little boy, just with his shoulders down and then his head. And I don't think he would tilt it, but I remember times where the head was tilted. And
see, why do they have to have horrible little touches like that to them, right? Can't they just stand freaking normal?
Things. Because I want to know, okay, am I seeing this or is this not happening.
Now, would you
This is
always see
shadow,
him?
right?
Would you always see him though, like right when you woke up, like in that in between state, or would you see him when you're fully awake as well?
Yeah, sometimes I'd be watching TV and I'd be so zoned in. Like Constantine came out, and I was completely into Constantine. I would watch it over
It's
and
a
over.
great movie.
And oh yeah. I got to think about how how that guy divines through reading the newspapers, and I do that, but through all types of media. Like anyway, that's another story. We'll tell that later. But that's why I love that movie, because that's where I figured out I could do stuff like that. Because I've been doing that over the past couple of days due to the coronavirus, and then this weird asteroid that's coming, and nobody's talking about it. And so, anyways.
Thank goodness. Put us all out of our misery. We're tired of sitting at home. At least it'll be a reprieve.
Yeah, right? That's what I told somebody. Is like, are you afraid of the asteroid? And I was like, God, I have so much debt. It would be
Bring
cool
it, baby.
if that asteroid wanted to come, right? I'm spending money right now. Like, it's cool.
Oh.
Anyways, no, I would be watching that movie, get up, go to the restroom, and then the shift between the light of the console that I had a little light over the TV. I would walk into the room, and so then there would be a shadow, and then the two shadows would be in front of me. And it always freaks me out. I'm not going to say Hood Guy never freaked me out. It did. But I would just be like, oh, my hands would go up into boxing form, because that's what I always did. But then the little guy, when that guy comes up, I'm like, no. I'll be like, no. I said, you cannot be here. And this is when I started noticing, like, it didn't care about me or who I wanted to be. So I had to start developing ways of how to get rid of this thing. The only thing I could think of was to bring the old man back. And because I was in the state that I was, because I was always depressed or angry or partying and just, out of control. I was cool one minute and like, you want to fight the next? That's how I would deal with this stuff. When that little guy, that little entity, I would just start screaming and yelling, like, this is my house. You're in my zone. This is my world. And I would say stupid crap like, if you don't leave this and that, I'll figure out a way how to get rid of you. I'll do whatever I have to, and blah, blah, blah. And so it would go away for a little bit, but then the snoring would come back, and that's when I knew the old man was back. I hated the snoring. It was creepy.
So, all right. So, so the snoring. Let's touch on that, and then we'll shut this one down. But so you would wake up and you'd hear snoring in the same room that you were in, or
or I would get up, go to the restroom. So I'm up for about 4 or 5 seconds, and then you hear the snoring.
Oh hell no! I'm sorry. No.
And so I know, right? It is creepy, and I already knew who it was. Or from the little living room, or from the little kitchen in the apartment that I was in, or when I was in the restroom from the bedroom. And I would forget because, like I said, my door was open, so people would come in and come out. But everybody knew, like, I would get mad at a certain time if people come in, so nobody would really be there. But I would still think, like, hey, my buddy's here. He was the only one I would allow. He could stay there whenever the hell he wanted. And so I would go and check to make sure it's not him, and nothing. Nobody. But that had been with me, since I was a kid. How everybody says the whispers in your ear, and they say your name, the people sitting on the edge of your bed, all that stuff happened. But the stuff that I hated was the snoring, the stuff. And I lived in a house with everybody, and so I would go and walk around everybody's room. Nobody would be snoring, or my parents would be snoring. My dad had a different snore. My mom had a certain snore. But then I would go to my room, and the snoring would be in the closet, almost as if to say, like, it's me, it's not them. Like, I'm like, oh, really? Right,
could you, like, leave out, like, those little nasal passage strips out for him? Maybe he could learn to utilize those. You're like, dude, if you're going to be around, right? we have to remedy this, man.
And I was even, because I had to use those because I'm a snorer, too. And
that's what I'm saying. Leave an extra pair out for that homie. I mean, he's really pushing it with the snoring.
We had plenty, but one time I was with somebody and like she was like, "Oh, you're always snoring," and I was like, "Look, I'm gonna tell you something." I said, "Sometimes it's not me," and she was like, "Whatever. You always come up with something," and I was like, "All right." So I would work late, and then she would call me up and be like, "There's somebody snoring here," and I was like, "I told you, and I'm not lying. This stuff just happens."
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, now I've heard it all. Now you're blaming your snoring on a damn ghost." Okay, Kevin. Sure, buddy.
Yes, exactly.
We've all tried that one. Don't worry.
And that's the one. That's the one that I was with. I would freak her out. But that's the one I was with when I told you I made it rain, and which is a whole nother story, which was really awesome. But we'll talk about that next time. But I would freak her out.
You better believe we will, because that's also on the list. We've got a serious list of things that we have to cover, right? So
I know.
I told you, because you were a little nervous about coming on, so I told you to be about a 7 on out of 1 to 10 pain scale. So where did we settle? Was it 7, 6.5? Whatever.
7.25, maybe. It wasn't that bad. It was all right.
All right, good. That's a good PSA for everybody out there, right? They're like, "Oh crap, I was gonna call in too."
Great.
No, that was awesome.
No, it wasn't bad. It was awesome. I was really nervous.
Well, see, it's better now, right? Now that it's like ripping a Band-Aid off, and I know it's not the easiest thing to do. So we've got the list for next time. I've already got UFO. We have more shadow stuff going on, and I would like to hear more about the haunted house, of course, and all of that situation.
Yeah, because that picture that I sent you where the aliens kept shooting at me, that wasn't supposed to be like a done deal. I was just sketching to see how it looked when it's sent to you. But
it looks good.
That house was where that was my deep dive. This is when I was like, okay, I need to start studying this crap, because I would do ghosts, all kinds of stuff, and I do secret space program, and this happens. That was weird.
We've got a lot of really good stuff to cover, and I'm sure we're not done talking about the witchcraft too. I'm sure that stuff will bleed into other stories, because I know that it's definitely a subject that has come up before, and I always love touching on it. It just doesn't happen a lot. So I'm very interested to hear more of that if you've got, the stories and want to tell it, of course. But there's some stuff I don't want to say, but there, of course.
I can cut some stuff out.
Of course, yeah. I mean,
there's crazy stuff.
If we're just talking about something, you're like, oh, that reminds me, and I mean, the show thrives on that. I thrive on the chaotic parts of, when one thing reminds someone of another thing, and sometimes it turns into a great conversation that way. So I don't mind tangents. But no, Kevin, I appreciate you so much coming on to share, ripping off the painful Band-Aid, and I'll get you back on very soon for round 2.
Okay, cool. Just let me know. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm so-and-so. I was given this name by my parents. I've been to such and such a college. I've done these things in my profession. I produce a little biography. Buddha says, forget it. That's not true. That's some story. That's all gone. That's all past. I want to see the real you are now. Well, nobody knows who that is. Because we don't know ourselves except through listening to our echoes and consulting our memories. But then there's a real you, and that again leads us back to this question. Who are you? That is the real you. We shall see how they play with this exam by the koans to get you to come out of your shell and find out who you really are. quite divided on this. They will say, no, we don't believe literally in reincarnation. That after your funeral, you will suddenly become somebody different, living somewhere else. They will say reincarnation means this, that if you sitting here now are really convinced that you're the same person who walked in the door half an hour ago, you're being reincarnated. If you are liberated, you will understand that you're not. The past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. There is only the present. That's the only real you that there is. The Zen master Dogen put it in this way. He said, spring does not become the summer. First there is summer, and then there is spring. When you settle down in the train to read your newspaper and so on, you are not the same person who a little while ago left the platform. If you think you are linking your moments up in a chain. And this is what binds you to the wheel of birth and death. But when you know that every moment in which you are is the only moment, this comes into Zen. A master will say to somebody, get up and walk across the room. And he comes back and he says, where are your footprints? They've gone. So where are you? Who are you? When we are asked who we are, we usually give a kind of recitation of a history.